talk about COVID-19. Just got a little John Coltrane playing in the back. Want to get that off before they boot me away from YouTube or boot me off of Facebook for the music. I just had that playing in the background and realized I can't play that. How's everybody doing? I see Artrice is up. What's up, Artrice? How you been, man? Hope we get that businesses open soon. Artrice is one of my boys. He's got a restaurant and lounge on 75th, and I know they had to close from COVID-19, but we hoping we're gonna get through the lockup. I wanted to share with you guys some issues on immunity. I've been hearing a lot of things out there about COVID-19 lately, and some of it is troubling because there seems to be a disingenuous aspect to the whole conversation, and there seems to be a lot of talk about treatment, but not about prevention. I trained in primary care internal medicine, and one of the main things that we were taught at Meharry and then also at Cook County, where I did my residency, was the key to good health is prevention. But all we hear about with respect to COVID-19 is treatment. Now remdesivir is thought to be the next new hot drug. And we're talking about how some people have better outcomes on this medication. I'd like to see who's got stock in the company that makes remdesivir. We're talking about vaccines. And there's supposed to be 100 and some odd number of vaccines in trials right now. And there are also probably 4 major companies that are in the process of vaccine production. Also, there's a new company that has no history of vaccine production that I heard about on CNN today. And this company is making a so-called vaccine by manufacturing a particle that resembles COVID-19 that's supposed to mimic it and start an immune response to it, and they got volunteers doing it. I'm like, that's just such madness. Now, as you know, I talked earlier about having been infected with COVID-19 around March 16th. I did a COVID-19 antibody test yesterday, and it was antibody positive for IgG. Those of you in the medical field know IgG is the most abundant antibody. IgM is the one that comes up in an acute response, meaning the early. Both of them were positive, so I have antibodies, so I'm immune. Why would I take a vaccine for a virus that I've already got an immunity to? But this is what they're pushing, because I want to show you guys some numbers. Remember, they're saying that there are 1.1 million confirmed cases of coronavirus in the country. And if you remember our earlier conversations, that 1.1 only would reflect 5% of the known cases. So with that 5%, you have to add the other 95%, which would be a factor of 9, or at least 9, or let's say 10. So the true number of cases that would represent would be 10 million. But because of the way that the virus spreads, you have to also factor in a factor of up to the first day of infection and spread through a community, but you have to use other factors. You would be more likely to be around 100 million to 160 million, because it's a factor of 4 to the nth power, depending on the number of days the virus is allowed to spread through a certain geographical area. With respect to our country, it's probably spread, and I would estimate that there are as many as 100 million cases of coronavirus right now as a result of the spread and the exponential spread. And you can talk to any epidemiologist or virologist, and they'll tell you there has to be at least 100 million Americans infected. Why aren't they doing antibody tests? Why are they opening up and allowing people to go back to work with no antibody tests? Because they already know that they're infected. But they want you to get the vaccine, because the vaccine is not in prevention, it's in treatment. And they want money, and the money is going to come through the vaccine. So I want you all to watch on how this vaccine gets rolled out. before we know it. There's some issues that I wanted to talk about, and mainly it's micronutritional support. I talked a few minutes ago, and this is really important. If you know anybody that's an elderly person, and we all do, or if you know anybody that's in a high-risk group, diabetes, high blood pressure, I'm going to prove to you right now why we're dying at the higher rates. This is probably the most important video I've ever done. You have got to understand the immune system and the way the immune system works and the micronutrients that are part of the immune system that get leached out, not by the underlying disease, but by the treatment, the medication that we're being given as blacks and Latinos for the treatment of the disease. I'll prove it to you. Stay tuned. If you know anybody that's black or Latino that has anybody in their family in a high-risk group, call them. Tell them to tune into this. I'm going to guarantee you that the lack of immune system support. And this is how it works. We did an earlier video. First, I got to go through a few things that are really, really important. You know our immune system should be able to conquer COVID-19. Why did my immune system conquer COVID-19 and why are other people's immune systems failing? It's because there are 4 parts to the immune system, and those 4 parts to the immune system rely upon key nutrients that I'm going to show you right here. Take a look at this dry erase board. I'll pull it up for you. I think I better move the board and not the camera. Okay? Now, let's take a look at this. Can't see it? All right, anyway, we're going to try our best. Vitamins A, B6, B12, C, vitamins D and D3, vitamin E, folate, and these trace minerals, copper, Cu, iron, Fe, magnesium, Mg, selenium, Se, and zinc. Now, these are the 4 parts to our immune system: our physical boundaries, our innate immunity, the inflammatory response, and the adaptive immunity. All parts of our immune system are dependent upon these elements that can only come through our diet. What you need to know, which is really, really, really important, is that the pathophysiology, or the way that these certain diseases work in us, can rob us of these vitamins and trace minerals. But mostly in African Americans and Latinos, it's the treatment of high blood pressure and diabetes that leads to the loss of D3 and these trace minerals that's causing the immune system to become dysfunctional. And I'm going to prove it to you in a minute. Let me go a little bit further. Keep your eyes open. I promise I'm not going to keep you long. Now, with respect to COVID-19, it's important to understand, I have to write notes and keep myself on track and lead to an end, so I apologize for that, but it's really important. First, I talked about our immune system should be able to conquer COVID-19 like most people's, and it's only immune system dysfunction that keeps from doing that. We're getting ready to open up all of the cities and all of the states by May 30th. But by the end of this month, it's going to be impossible for them to keep the country locked down. It's not going to be economically feasible, and the masses are not going to stand for it. So you got to brace yourself if you got an underlying illness and you're in a high risk group, because you got to prepare your immune system, and you have to start preparing it now through supplementation. But first, I'm going to go over some facts so you'll get a better understanding of why you need to do it. You can expect a second, possibly larger wave of COVID-19 to occur after these things are opened up, because when people get back to work, there are going to be many people who don't know they had a virus. There are going to be restrictions on how we move and how we interact, but it's not going to stop the spread of the virus. It's going to do what it's going to do, and it's going to take 2 weeks for them to see the results, because it takes about 5 days before symptoms start showing up, and then it takes about 10 days for most people to clear that virus. But for those people who get significantly sick, it's going to be between day 9 and day 19 that they're going to show up significantly ill, and that's when they're going to get a better idea of the numbers of people who are going to be in this second wave of COVID-19 infections. Now, And again, I went over the current estimate of U.S. infections being anywhere from 10 million to 100 million. Why is that significant? Because if it's closer to 100 million, which they should know by now because we should have had that many people tested, then we know that we're gaining herd immunity and there's no need for us to continue panicking. It's just to continue the mitigation areas, spread the virus infections down the line. As more people become infected and gain immunity, then there's going to be fewer people to be infected and the virus is going to naturally die out on its own, which is likely to happen, but they're not talking about it because they're not testing us for a reason. They are not testing people for antibodies for a reason, and they keep pushing the viral test, but the viral test that you take is only important when you're acutely ill. Most people in the last 60 days have been exposed to COVID-19 and you either gained an active immunity or you got sick and you died. And that was only 65,000 people who died. So the rest of the people that have been compromised by COVID-19 recovered. And again, we're looking at much larger numbers. Another fact, I just talked about why we're not rushing to test for COVID-19 antibodies. They want to suppress the real numbers of people who are infected. The vaccine is the real goal for this. And let's look at money again. When you look at the remdesivir, I think is how you pronounce it, but the new drug that they use for Ebola, and now they're saying it shows good. It's not improving outcomes. They said that. All it's doing is reducing hospital days. So if you get to the point where you need that virus, you're already too sick. You're already going to be in that profoundly compromised group of that 5% that get the virus. So this is nothing but a money-making scheme for the people that make the drug, because what they're going to be able to do is sell this drug to the hospital, and people are going to make a huge profit. Also, the vaccine is coming. They're talking about as soon as August, they're going to have an experimental vaccine. People are going to be so afraid by all of the news and all of the chaos and people getting sick and people dying that they're going to lose critical thought. And if you lose critical thought, what's more likely going to happen is you're going to line up for a vaccine. Vaccines change your DNA just like viruses change your DNA. They take over your DNA machinery and start making copies of themselves. Vaccines can have profound effects on all organ systems. So you don't want to get, that's not what you want to do. You don't want to get a vaccine. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm a physician. I don't believe in the vaccine theory. Now, let's go to the underlying people, the people with underlying medical conditions who are dying from COVID-19. I want to go through. I had created this. This was an illustration I had created, and when I realized it got far too complicated to show on Facebook or on any of my other informational, so I realized that what I needed to do was scale it down. So I created this picture on the dry erase board, and I'm going to talk through it so that people can understand what's going on, okay? Bear with me. I guarantee you you're going to enjoy this. Now, let me go to the dry erase board and give you some information. These are the vitamins. These are the trace minerals, okay? When the pathogen comes in, it has to get through your physical boundaries. The physical boundaries are just your skin and your epithelial cells. That's not just on the outside of your body, but on the inside of your body as well. In the linings of your lung, the linings of your mouth, your eyes, your skin surfaces. The key micronutrients that are dealing with these physical boundaries are vitamins A, vitamins D, vitamin E, and vitamin B6 and B12, okay? Also folate, that's almost all of them. Trace elements are zinc and iron. So if you don't have adequate supplies of these in your body, it's going to knock your immune system down. Vitamin D3 is very instrumental in your physical barriers, but it's also instrumental in the inflammatory response, which we're going to talk about later. But what you need to know is that vitamin D3, the main problem with the vitamin D3 in Latino and black people is that metformin is known to cause a deficiency in vitamin D3 because metformin acts on the gut. It causes a disruption in the normal gut flora and it leads to malabsorption of vitamin D3. So this is leaving people who have vitamin D3 deficiencies who happen to be diabetic. They don't have the ability to dampen down the inflammatory response. What am I saying? They get the inflammatory response necessary to fight an infection, but when it comes to lung inflammation, there's the vitamin D3 sends the signal to turn the inflammation down. So if you don't have vitamin D3 and you are a diabetic and you have taken metformin and your D3 levels are low, you're going to have a decreased inflammatory response attenuation, and that means your inflammatory response is going to be greater and you're not going to be able to turn it off. And this is what's happening in the majority of the people who are dying from COVID. The inflammatory response in the lung is too great, it can't be turned off. Let's go back to the physical boundaries. I told you which elements were involved, but we also have an innate immunity. And the innate immunity, the vitamins and minerals that are key to make that part of the immune system work are vitamin C, vitamin E, and the trace elements are copper, iron, magnesium, selenium, and zinc. That's all of them. So if you don't have these trace minerals in your body, your innate immunity, and this is the first immunity that the body really uses to fight a pathogen like COVID-19. But what's going on with trace minerals? If you're a diabetic, the pathophysiology of diabetes is such that when your blood sugar is high, it works like a diuretic. What is a diuretic? It's better known as a water pill. So what it happens is it causes you to increase your urination and you urinate out these trace elements. So if you're a diabetic and you don't have proper control of your sugar, you're losing these trace minerals that are essential for the appropriate function of your immune system. So this is one of the reasons you have to supplement. Also, though, diuretics, which are one of the primary drugs used to treat hypertension in the black community, are diuretics. Hydrochlorothiazide is one of them. Furosemide is another one. Furosemide is also used to treat congestive heart failure. So what do we have? These trace minerals are leached out from the use of those diuretics. So people have deficiencies in magnesium, selenium, zinc, and not so much copper and iron. But magnesium, selenium, and zinc are essential to the proper operation of the immune system. And if you don't have those micronutrients in place, you're going to not be able to mount an appropriate immune response to a pathogen like COVID-19. Let me go a little bit further. If the pathogen gets by your innate immunity, your body mounts what's called an inflammatory response. And this inflammatory response is like the alarms in a firehouse going off. Everybody starts running around. Everything starts happening. Your body sends out an all-out alarm to say, hey, we got a problem. We got an invader. Send the armies. This army is biochemical reactions, cells that attack the pathogen and eat it up, present it to other cells so they can produce more copies of themselves. And then we start moving into this adaptive immunity where your body actually starts making antibodies that are going to fight the pathogen or the virus that's coming to the body. Here's the problem. This inflammatory response in the lungs, if the D3 is not there, it becomes exaggerated. So you got to have it, but also you have to have adequate amounts of B6, and you also got to have all of these trace minerals are part of the inflammatory response in attenuating or increasing different reactions that are responsible for maintaining the balance of the inflammatory response. What happens in COVID-19 patients is that the inflammatory response is either out of control or insufficient. And in any case, if you have any of these deficiencies, that's what's going to happen. Let's go on a little bit further to adaptive immunity. Hold on 1 minute. God dog it. Where you trying to go? That would be the owner, John. I can't give you his number right now. I'm doing a Facebook Live. Let me pull it up for you. I'll get it for you. It's a 219 number, dog. Oh, man. Give me 1 second. Okay. I got to pause, y'all. I got a situation. I'm going to be right back. I promise you. That's all right, man. I'm doing a COVID-19 post. So let me. I'm back. I'm sorry, folks. Police knocked on the office door. They were looking for the office manager because they needed the surveillance camera because somebody had a hit. All right, are we back? Somebody wave at me or send me a heart or something so I can know that I'm back. Okay, I hope y'all there. Somebody wave at me. Okay, I think I'm there. Anyway, let's go back to this. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now I know I'm on. Thank you. I'm sorry. That was crazy, but stuff like that happens. Now, let's get back to the real deal. The adaptive immune response occurs right here, right? All of these nutrients are necessary, but more important than anything is selenium, zinc, and D3, okay? All of these work in conjunction, and I wish I could go into more detail about how it works, but you get inhibitory actions in the adaptive immune response to when the virus is going so far that it's going to destroy you. But it also, and you get cells that are enlarged in their numbers that are dependent on these as substrates or as building blocks, so to speak. But the cell proliferation can't occur if you don't have these key elements in place. Also, so if you are diabetic or if you have high blood pressure, if you're taking vitamin D, if you're taking metformin, if you're taking a diuretic, or if you have diabetes and it's poorly controlled, you're going to have all of these trace elements and some of these things lacking in your body. So, and if that's the same for chronic kidney disease, congestive heart failure, and some other of the similar diseases have a similar play with these micronutrients. Also, if you're taking lipid-lowering drugs called statins, they are well known to increase blood sugar, even moderately. Even a modest increase in blood sugar is going to lead to that diuretic effect I talked about, which is going to lead to a loss of these trace minerals and which is going to interrupt the function of your immune system, okay? So, what am I saying? This is real. This is real, and you know, you really have to ask yourself, why are the powers that be not pushing for prevention? Why are they simply saying, oh, if you have an underlying disease, you're more likely to have complications of COVID-19? When does that start? When do we not start looking into reasons why? There's a reason why. There's no reason why a person with high blood pressure should have a worse chance of surviving COVID-19 than I do. But what a person with hypertension will probably be doing is taking a diuretic. And if he's taking a diuretic, guess what? He's not going to have trace minerals that help his immune system function. Same thing with a diabetic. What is it about diabetes, early diabetic, people who are young, that we're seeing dying who have diabetes? If you know somebody that died from COVID-19, check their medications and hit me on the inbox on Messenger. And if you find that they're taking metformin or any water pill, hydrochlorothiazide, chlorthalidone, spironolactone, furosemide, Bumex, if they are, inbox me on Messenger if you can see this. Also, if there's anybody on metformin that you know that's died, I guarantee you their D3 levels were lower and they had asked if they died of pneumonia. This is really important, and it's important to Black and Latino people, and I hope you all are listening to me as I'm dropping some information that could be very helpful to us as a community. We need to push for the boosting of the immune systems through supplementation of these vitamins and of these trace minerals, and this is pennies on the day. So we spending millions and millions of dollars testing people, sticking stuff in people's noses, quarantining people. We need to be supplementing with micronutrients. That's all we need. We need to be eating better, which is always a problem in the hood. But more than anything, we got to help people get their blood sugars lower, and we got to supplement nutritionally with vitamin A, vitamin B6, B12, C, D, E, folate, and the trace minerals, copper, iron, magnesium, selenium, and zinc. That's all I got for today. I'm going to be on WVON Radio 1690 with Brother Ed Reed in about 30 minutes, so I'm about to tune in. and get to it. I'm going to do. I'm also going to try to give a talk in about a week or two, but I have to study my information before I come to you. That's why I haven't done a video in like 10 days, because it's too many people getting on Facebook and on all of these different places, and they just giving out nonsense information. This is the best information I found on COVID-19 for our community. Please share it and share it and share it. If you know anybody that's Latino, if you know anybody that's black, that has in a high-risk group, or family members in high-risk groups, tell them to supplement. Also, lastly, very important, you don't have to go and buy these different supplements. You can buy them in immune support packages. You can get it from Vitamin Shop or from anywhere else. The cheapest one I know is one that I represent the company, and I've been working with them for 4 years and never sold anything. But now, because of the importance of this, I market ID Life, and they make the best nutritional support, immune support that I know of. You can go to this website right here, DRKSESLYNA. Hold on, I'm gonna do it like this. This is the website. It's DRKSESLYNAVE.IDLife.com. They have an amazing immune support package. I've got about 20 people that have gotten on it, and it may save your life. And there we go. DRKSESLYNAVE.IDLife.com. Don't leave yourself or your loved ones unprotected. Kids are going to be going back to school. Seniors are going to be exposed to individuals who are going to have COVID-19. The community is getting ready to open up. We need to protect ourselves by improving our immune systems through supplementation. If you don't want to do with ID Life, you can go to Vitamin Shop or GNC. Ask them to show you immune support nutritional product. The only thing that I saw on those immune support products all of them didn't have selenium. So if you go, and remember, I gave you the vitamins you needed: A, B6, B12, C, D, E, D3 especially, E, folate, minerals, copper, iron, magnesium, selenium, and zinc. Gotta have those. Get those some kind of way. If you're in a high-risk group, or you know someone you love that is, make sure they're supplementing. When we go through this next wave, we want our whole community to have such a great number. And it's twice the recommended daily allowance. 2 times the recommended daily allowance, especially if you're diabetic or high blood pressure. Also, don't stop taking your medicine. If you're on a diuretic or on metformin, do not stop taking your medicine. Supplement. Talk to your doctor about the impact that the medicine will have on these micronutrients. But absolutely do not stop taking your medicine, because I'd rather we deal with the possibility of you getting COVID-19 and having a stroke or a heart attack or some other damage to your body from uncontrolled diabetes. Take your medicine. But you're going to have a hard time getting in touch with your doctor during this COVID-19 pandemic. Medical visits are down, but you can supplement, and you can supplement inexpensively. Your whole household needs to supplement. That's all I got for today. We'll get back to you next time. I want to thank you for even bothering to look. I didn't get to wave at a lot of people because I was trying to keep the information flowing. If you need more information on this topic, go to my timeline, and you can go back in my timeline, and it'll show you some of the other topics that I've talked about related to COVID-19. They all seem to be pretty good. People have been getting a lot out of it. Stay safe. I love you.